Welcome to 11 Warriors Film Study. I'm Kyle Jones. Today we're going to talk about Ohio State's 28-14 win in the Cotton Bowl over Texas. Really thought Steve Sarkisian and Pete Kwiatkowski, the two play callers for the Longhorns, gave the Buckeyes all they could handle. A really strong game plan, I thought, on both sides of the ball from both teams, really. It was a very NFL-esque matchup in that both teams recognizing that the biggest threat that both teams posed, and from Ohio State's perspective, that's of course Jeremiah Smith. I thought Pete Kwiatkowski did a really nice job, as we'll get into, taking him away and forcing the Buckeyes to beat them in other ways, which ultimately turned out to be the case, of course. But also from what Ohio State was trying to do defensively, Steve Sarkisian, we knew he'd have answers for that too high Tampa look with Caleb Downs in the middle. So Jim Knowles had to respond, bringing different looks, playing more cover three than we expected, certainly than I expected. Again, breaking tendency all over the place, trying to minimize any weak spots that you have on either unit, while trying to take away what the offense can do best, and of course maximizing your own strengths. We're not going to get into Captain Jack Sawyer's great scoop and score. Everybody knows what that looked like. But we're going to talk about a few of the other big moments in this game that I thought really played a huge factor and really made the game what it was. So again, we're going to talk about the Cotton Bowl today. Keep an eye out for later this week, where I'll have a preview of the national championship game and what Ohio State can expect from Marcus Freeman's Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But for now, let's dig into the Cotton Bowl. All right, let's start off talking about the passing game. Obviously, that was the highlight of the Ohio State offense. Run game left some to be desired, which we'll get into. But first drive, we can see what Texas is doing. We get Will Howard, turns, completes a nice ball over the middle in a small window to Ibuka. But I want to show what the game plan was and what Texas was doing, especially to take away Jeremiah Smith. That was obviously a big point coming into the game. Texas clearly made it a big point of their game plan. We've got a snag concept to the top, which is a corner route here from the tight end, this little curl underneath, and a flare out from the running back. That's what Will's going to read first. He's going to see the defense overloads it. They're going to play what's called like a quarter half, but they're really going to, it's a special kind where they're actually going to double the backside, where we've got two slants from Ibuka and Jeremiah Smith. Now we can see here Will drops back, right? He looks to his right. He looks first to the back. He doesn't want to throw that because he can see this guy's going to get out there. Then he turns, looks up top. He sees we've got three guys, over these two receivers. This guy's standing right in the way of that snag route. He's kind of taking away two routes at once. So Will smartly flips his hips, turns, and sees here's Ibuka coming right over the middle. So much space there. And the reason for that is because the backside safety, they're playing a quarter half, right? So we've got deep quarter, and ideally deep half. This guy's going to squat. He's kind of like an underneath defender right there. But ideally what we're going to see, in a normal version at least, is you're going to see, this guy drop, and you're going to have that open, which this guy's going to run with, and then you've got Jeremiah Smith there behind it. But as we're going to see, watch the way the safety, he is keyed in on Jeremiah Smith from the get-go, right? He is taking away that route. He's there to rob it, which leaves all this room for Ibuka. So Texas is clearly keying on Jeremiah Smith in this play, and they did it all night long. They wanted to make sure we're going to take away that play. We're going to keep safeties deep. We're not going to let the ball get behind us. Now, as we look at the end zone view, you can see a little bit of what's happening in pass pro, because what I want to also pause on, look very quickly, because it was a unique thing we saw from the Texas front. There's nobody in either A gap. They're taking, this is not just a third down thing. We saw this on early downs as well. They wanted to get pass rush situations with their speed rushers against the tackles, specifically Josh Fryer. Here we got Colin Simmons, who was doing he was up against Josh Fryer all night. And then they want to get these guards in a one-on-one. They want to get it in a one-on-one against the defensive tackles, which in this case, you're going to see Tiger Shabola. He's got a one-on-one, gets beat, but Will gets the ball out, right? You can see, get this guy running around the right side, but Will does a great job watching it in real time of how quickly he flips his hips and gets the ball out. 1, 2, 3, boom, ball's out. Tight window, accurate right on that number 2. So this is a little bit of what we saw throughout the evening. Those underneath passes were there, but not to number 4. Now, for as good as Will might have been on some of those quick throws, those rhythm 3-step throws, there were some parts of this game that he's going to watch the film and want back. Now, we talked about forcing the ball to Jeremiah Smith. A lot of people were frustrated Ohio State didn't find ways. It's not for lack of trying, because as you can see in the circle here, they've got all 4 receivers to the left, and Jeremiah Smith is lined up in this Y-off, this tight end position. And the reason being is he's going to run this flat route all the way out wide while his guys are blocking for him on a screen. But this is an RPO. This is actually a handoff as well, where Will's got the chance to hand off to Quinshon Judkins in this, and he decides I'm going to keep it, try to force it. Again, in theory, we've got a guy open here. We've got 1, 2, 3 guys here that can get the ball out, or we've got play in space for number 4. The problem is this defensive end reads it perfectly and takes this away. Before Will can even get the ball out, he's getting taken down and wrapped up, right? Now, the problem with this is not just that he kept, but it's the issue with the run game as well. Now, Ohio State could not run the ball from their typical counter set that we've seen the last couple of weeks. Texas was very well prepared to take away counter. Some of the zone stuff had some issues. We saw that short 4th and 1 early in the game where Quinshon Judkins got stopped. But this was one of those issues one of those times where it actually would have worked had Will handed the ball off. It's a trap play. We've seen this a few times from Ohio State this year. We'll look at Luke Montgomery pulling. Again, this is there. We're going to see a trap. We're going to see a trap. And these guys are going to get upfield, which would have created a really nice seam right here for Quinshon Judkins had the ball been handed off. So unfortunately, Will decided, I don't know what he was reading, if this was predetermined. Again, he's reading this guy right here who's able to make a play. Let's watch it one more time just to give you a sense. I'll move my head out of the way. But watch 91 closes down. That ball's there. So this is something that Will's got to make a handoff. He's got to get the give read. When they tried it again, it was taken away again on both the handoff. So they made the effort. Will had it there one time, but unfortunately made the wrong read. All right, so here's a concept I want to show. It was a forgotten play early in the first half. Ohio State's going to get Texas. They're going to show 2 deep safeties, but as you can see here by the arrows, the safety to the top of the screen is going to roll down. This is a 12 personnel, 2 tight end, and they're going to end up playing in a cover 3 shell, like an old school Rip Liz, cover 3, Nick Saban style. Will drops back, pumps a couple times, tries to throw, nothing there that he sees. So he scrambles, short pickup. But watch what's actually happening on this play. It's a play action concept, right? We get the tight end pulling across. It's a max protect situation where there's plenty of protection here. You got 2 tight ends that are both staying in. And to the bottom of the screen, we can see here's Jeremiah Smith taking off, and he's going to run what we call a pin concept. So it's just a really deep curl because he's betting that this corner who's in cover 3 is just going to bail all the way out. We can see the safety's got his back turned the other way. This guy's coming here, and we're going to get a book on a deep post, right? You can see Trey Henderson's going to be the check down. But really what we're trying to hit here is Jeremiah Smith. And as you can see, Will's going to have it, right? Look at the way Will gets to the top of his drop. Now, these guys underneath, they're the zone droppers, right? We got 2 buzz out here. Again, it's cover 3 deep, 4 under. So there is this window right here that Will can throw to Jeremiah Smith. And I guarantee, now I don't know for sure, but I guarantee when they got to the sideline, the coaches said, hey, Will, you got to see this. Look at how open you've got a window here, man. You can make that throw. This linebacker, he's out here. Now, the problem with that is later on in the game, when they do try to run the same concept, we're going to watch it here. Flip to the other side, exact same formation. They pull, it's the pin to the top. What happens? It gets picked off. Now, why does it get picked off? And this is what I believe is some carelessness by the coaching staff, because on this side, it's the same exact coverage, right? You're going to see bailing out, deep third, corners bailing out. We've got the same deep pin here. We've got the same deep post here, right? Like this should work. They've been saving it clearly. The problem is when this backer drops into that same exact zone drop, they're now on the hash. Let's go back to the other play. Look where the ball is. It's in the middle of the field, right? Ball's in the middle of the field. So when this guy drops back, look where he is. Flip to the other side. Suddenly he's doing the same drop, but because the ball's on the hash, Jeremiah Smith hasn't moved. So the defense has moved over. Carelessness by the coaching staff to not recognize that the windows are going to change when they get over on the hash. This is the kind of thing you hear Ryan Day talking about, the width of the hash marks in college. It typically doesn't come up. But in this game, as we'll show with the defense, there was a little thing now that happened with the defense. Same situation, not paying attention to where the ball is on the field. These are the little things. Luckily, didn't come back to bite Ohio State this time, but very well could have. All right, I obviously want to talk about some highlights as well. Not all doom and gloom here. Obviously, they were one of the big highlights of the night. Trevion Henderson takes a screen pass, 75 yards for a touchdown right at the end of the first half, steals the momentum back. Makes one move, makes a miss. It's almost like a kick return with how deep Texas was playing, and then it's a track meet. But let's go back and watch what's happening, because it was actually fairly consistent with how Texas was defending, philosophically. Obviously, you don't get safeties that are 20 yards off the line of scrimmage. That's different. That's based off of what we're seeing in the situation. But what we're going to see is it's a Tampa 2, and there's a simulated pressure, meaning we've got 5 potential rushers right here. You can see them all up crowded towards the line. You're not going to get 5 rushers. They would show 5 and only bring 4. And actually what's going to happen is you're going to see, and some people I think have unfairly criticized Pete Kwiatkowski from Texas for sending this nickel player. He's going to come on a blitz. And as you watch as the ball gets snapped, you're going to see him come on a blitz. You can see the safety already bailing way out. We've got these 2 deep safeties. This guy's going to play that middle robber position, the pole runner that we see Caleb Downs play for the Ohio State defense. And then we've got 5 guys underneath. Like, this is not a crazy, this is a very conservative defense. It's almost too conservative though, because you're bringing pressure from so much depth that you're going to get these guys coming up front, right? Let's go to the end zone view really quickly. We're going to see this guy's coming off the edge, right? We're going to see this guy's coming. But Colin Simmons, who's one of your best pass rushers, he's dropping out. You got another guy dropping out. And then you've got this 4th rusher. They're trying to really just overload and attack Josh Fryer and Tegra Shabola with 3 rushers on one side. So it's a great call because they try to do that all night, right? We've got 1, 2, 3. And in theory, that should be Travion Henderson picking him up in pass coverage. But instead, what do we get? A lovely job by Will Howard to buy time. He's going to get hit, it looks like, but dumps the ball out. And then this is a kick return at this point. Look how much space there's. Let's go back to the wide side. When the ball is caught, look how much space there is with 3 linemen before the closest defender. Now this is, again, it turns into a kick return essentially. Not enough guys there. We get 2 defenders running into each other, and then all it took was 1 guy to miss, track meet Trey, and it's a touchdown Ohio State. So really nice call, recognizing in the moment. It's unfortunate from a Texas perspective that they were playing so deep. It was actually a very conservative call. Yes, you're bringing that 1 guy in pressure, but it really was a drop 7, cover 2. That's about as conservative as you can get. Almost too conservative a prevent defense, if you will, really coming to bite the Longhorns. All right, now I criticized Will Howard a little bit before. It'll be only fair to show one of maybe his finest moment of the night, and this big 3rd down that I haven't seen really talked about a lot in the follow-up to the game. Obviously, there's so many highlights, but I want to talk about this quickly. This is what ended up being the final scoring drive for the Ohio State offense. Obviously, the Jack Sawyer scoop and score was the last actual points, but this was the last offensive score. The game's tied at 14 early in the 4th quarter. Ohio State's facing a 3rd and long. We end up getting a lot of pressure. They show pressure, and for the first time all night, Texas is going to bring it here. They bring all of this. They're playing man coverage. Will buys some time, throws a big deep out, finds Carnell Tate for a huge gain. Now, I want to show this, what's happening here, because this is unlike what we saw most of the night. Now, we do have this safety in the middle of the field. He's going to drop, but he's actually going to kind of drop over to help on Jeremiah Smith, because this is straight man coverage. He's going to be on this deep over route. You're going to have the corner behind, and this way the safety can kind of rob it and take it away. But what's happening to the opposite side is more important. And Ohio State's clearly expecting zone based off the concept they call it. It's a big flood concept where you're going to get out of this bunch set, you're going to get Emeka Egbuka on a deep route. You're going to get then Carnell Tate on the big deep out, and then G. Scott on a little curl route. So it's a deep to short for Will Howard. The problem is he's got to have time to read it, right? And you can see all these guys, typically all night, we've seen 6 guys up here potentially, right? But normally 1 or 2 of them is going to drop out and the only going to get 4. And instead on this instance, finally Texas brings all 6. Let's go to the end zone view here. Right, we're going to see all 6 coming. There's only 6 defenders. Trey Henderson's got to pick somebody up. So, this guy's coming here for Donovan Jackson, Luke Montgomery, et cetera, or I'm sorry, it's there. Trey's got to pick this guy up on the blitz. Shabola's got the tackle. Fryer's got the edge, right? And they do a pretty good job here. Shabola gives up pressure, right? He starts inside. Actually, that's not his responsibility. It's a split field coverage, if you will, from the blocking perspective, where the left side, they're all going to step out and take the gap to that side. Meanwhile, on this side, Shabola's just got to take that tackle. Fryer's got to take this guy, and you have to trust your running back to take the blitzer from, as the second level player. Shabola takes one step, right? He comes in, takes one step, towards the inside just to help and take it away. And that's enough for that tackle to get a swim move around and to create the pressure. Meanwhile, just the speed rush, I thought Josh Fryer actually did a pretty good job all night against Colin Simmons, only forcing him into these really deep speed rushes. And the only way he made a play is if Will didn't step up in the pocket. But Will does a really nice job sensing, rolling to his left, buying time, and then delivering a throw. Like, this is Sunday football from both sides here. Dialing up and attacking a specific protection. They're trying to get that one-on-one of their best defensive linemen against one of the weaker spots on the O-line, the guard, trying to get Simmons on a pass rush against Fryer. And then you just get Will Howard recognizing it, buying time, good blitz pickup from the running back, throwing an accurate throw, making the great play and catch. So, again, just high-level football on both sides from here. Great performance from both teams. But a play that really I don't think was given as much credit because Ohio State would obviously score a few plays later. All right, the last clip from the offensive side has to be that 4th and 1 QB power. Now, before I get into it, I have to give a ton of credit. G. Scott made a heck of a play. It was 3rd and 8 on a crossing route. He caught the ball with about 7 yards to go and broke through 2 tackles to set up this 4th and short. That effort he makes this play possible, so credit there. But, of course, we're going to get QB power as it matters most. Will gets eaten up by the turf monster, should have scored. But I wanted to show really quickly why this was able to work. They hadn't shown a ton of this look all night. It was a great time, not just for the QB run game, of course, but we've got 4 guys to one side, right? We've got all 3 receivers that are drawing, that attention, and then you've got the tight end and you've got the running back. So every eligible ball carrier, with the exception of the quarterback, is to the wide side of the field, to the right. Texas, knowing that they want to take away Jeremiah Smith, has to counter that, right? You're going to see that the corner was down here and he ran all the way across just to make sure that they had it, right? Because we don't want to let him catch the ball. And so they've got this extra safety. They've got extra guys there. And that allows, when we get to the behind in the end zone, for Ohio State to run. Actually, they've got one extra blocker than they needed because they're going to down block. We're going to down block. We're going to down block. These guys are going to push out, right? And then you're going to see Luke Montgomery pull through. Trey Henderson's going to pull the safety out by going out wide, right? So watch what happens here when we get to the snap. Trey's going to run all the way out here. He's really just holding this player. He's not even going to block. Meanwhile, of course, you get Luke Montgomery, who's going to pull around and lead Will Howard, who's going to pull right behind him. There's more blockers than there are guys because we did a great job from Chabola here to pin this guy inside. The left side's doing a great job. Fryer steps up. He doesn't let the defensive back. It's a safety that he's got in front of him. Doesn't let him outside. Does a good job sealing him this way. I mean, Luke Montgomery doesn't block anyone on this play. He pulls through and there's no one there because the safeties, again, they're so far pulled that way because of the threat of those wide receivers and all those eligible players. Comes back to haunt Texas. Safety gets a hand on him, which who knows, maybe that's all it took to make Will stumble. But again, it was just a really great call using formation and recognizing how anxious and how worried Texas was about Jeremiah Smith. Let's go put him to the other side and run the ball to the left, saving QB power for when it mattered most. So again, a couple things play calling wise, I'm sure the coaching staff want back, like with that pick we showed. But when it mattered most, they really brought it and had just enough to win this game. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, one of the big questions I had was how could Ohio State counter what they've been showing, break some of the tendencies that they'd had. This is a look that we've seen from them a lot recently. This too high look gets stuffed for a big play. Texas is running one of their typical RPOs. They got a handoff inside, double slant or double sticks outside, right? Double hitches. And they're calling it because Ohio State's lined up the way they have a ton in this postseason, the second half of the year really, which is with Jordan Hancock playing a deep safety, a deep half for Lathan Ransom. The corners can press up, right? And then we've got Caleb Downs, who's making everything go as this kind of like middle linebacker pull runner. Now in zone coverage, he's going to drop back and occupy this area. And then you've got your linebackers outside against the run. They're on the outside C gaps and your defensive lines pinching. So that's really what Ohio State's done all for the last month and a half, is played this scheme. Against Texas, they did a great job of mixing it up because what we see on this play is we get a blitz off the edge from Cody Simon, and then they're going to play man coverage. They're playing man out here with the corner. Jordan Hancock's got man, which is why he's able to come up and make this play. You got man out here. You've got Lathan Ransom, who's going to be your deep safety. And then you've got man coverage there from Caleb Downs on the tight end. And why does that matter? Because Quinn Ewers is reading this blitz. He's reading Cody Simon. Normally, Cody Simon might drop back, and if he does, he takes away the hitch, and that's great, but that's one less guy to stop the run. So when he sees Cody Simon coming, he says, great, I'm going to pull the ball and throw it out here, right? Now, he does that, and as soon as, one, Cody Simon almost bats down the pass, but two, here's Jordan Hancock, who has this guy downhill in man coverage. He's expecting a short, quick throw. He's able to step up. Yes, they complete the pass, but it's a very short gain. So we wondered what the changeup might be from Jim Knowles. This was a great example, which we saw throughout the evening. All right, so we saw a lot of pressure off the edge, like that last play with Cody Simon. On this is an example of one of the sacks that they created. It's a big third down. We're going to see pressure coming off the edge from Sonny Styles and Igbinosun off the top here. We're going to watch them coming on the pressure here. They're able to get there, corral Quinn Ewers. Now, again, let's watch what the coverage is. It's actually what we call two steal, something we've been seeing more and more from Ohio State. Again, it was run against Ohio State a lot in the past, specifically by the team up north. Now Ohio State has put it in the arsenal. What does that mean? We've got two rushers here. It's a five-man pressure. These guys are all coming. Tuimoloau is going to come from the opposite edge. And then we're going to have a two-deep look where Lathan Ransom here, the deep safety, is actually going to end up playing underneath. And then you're going to get Caleb Downs dropping back to this deep half. Meanwhile, Jordan Hancock's going to play deep half over the other top. Cody Simon's going to drop out. And we got zone defense to this side, right? So there's a lot happening here. But again, you can see you're right. Downs is deep. This is deep. Ransom's going to step up to the one single receiver side. We're walling this off, guys here. So you've got enough zone droppers, and it's just enough usually just to make the quarterback think. He's got to recognize he doesn't know what he's looking, and that's enough time for your pressure to get there. So really nice look that way. Again, you can see it coming from the edge. Watch, these guys are all coming here, right? And that's great, right? We get the sack for Ohio State in this instance. But I want to show this play because while it worked in this instance, it actually came back in a very important time. Later, this became the drive that would ultimately turn into the Sawyer scoop and score. We've got a critical play. It's a long to go situation. But again, look where the ball is. We talked about the hash marks. Ball's towards the top of the screen here. And we're going to bring pressure from our corner and from Jordan Hancock. They're coming again, right? They're coming on pressure. Quinn, but this time he sees it, recognizes it, makes a deep throw. They're running a similar kind of two steal. This time we're going to get Igbinosun dropping back. Lathan Ransom's over the top. We're going to have Caleb Downs over here, dropping. And that seems like it should work. It's the same idea, right? We're going to have Jack Sawyer drop underneath, to take away this running back, right? Which we've seen score already. So in theory, it should all work. Problem is, where the ball is on the wide side of the field, this is now a foot race on this corner route between a receiver who's got already, a few yards inside, who's very fast, and Lathan Ransom somehow got to get over the top. Because you're on the far hash, you're making Ransom come all the way over here, which is a very tough ask. That's why this receiver's open, turns into a huge gain. Luckily, he's not able to stay on his feet and run after the play. But again, recognizing where on the field that you are as a defense and recognizing, are we sending pressure? That's fine to send it. And sure, you want to mix it up. You don't want to just send it to the boundary like we did last time. But recognizing what this puts your defense in. Again, we've got a corner route and you're expecting this guy to get over the top. High risk situation. Luckily didn't completely come back to bite the Buckeyes yet again. But it was close. It was another close example. All right, let's talk about those running back touchdowns out of the backfield here. Both scores for Texas came on these running back wheel routes. You can see 23 here, blue, coming out of the backfield, just running right by Sonny Styles. Let's see how that actually happened. Now, we mentioned Ohio State was playing some cover 1 and cover 3. Played a lot. I think they played more cover 3 in this game than they probably have all season, again, just to break up tendency and keep Sark on edge. Also keep the lid on those big play action passes that the Longhorns love. Now, we've got a 3-wide-1 set, which means that we're going to get man coverage. This is a solo call for Davis and Igbinosun to the bottom here, and we're going to have Lathan Ransom bailing out. Now, what that means is that Sonny Styles, he's got to have this zone underneath if the running back peels out, right? And that's fine. And in theory, that works, except with the way that the route was run, it's a nasty split here. Look, or we can't really see it in this view, but you can see, look at where the receiver is. He's coming inside, because he knows this receiver or the running back's going to go outside of him. There's just enough hesitation with Styles here to have to get around that, recognizing there's somebody there. Now, again, this is putting your linebacker in a really tough spot against a really fast running back, because you're essentially saying you have him man-to-man, and by the way, he's about as fast as Travion Henderson or any other running back in the country. Good luck. You're a good athlete, Sonny Styles, but that is a heck of a difficult matchup. So really, great job by Texas to recognize that. Again, hitting it here for the first touchdown. Okay, the second one might even be more difficult to swallow from an Ohio State perspective, because it's almost the exact same situation. And the call that's put out here, again, you see blue release, nobody there, same route, basically makes one guy miss in open field, which is a tough tackle for Ransom to make. But we're going to get pressure this time off the edge. And what we're actually having happen is this is a simulated pressure. It's a zone blitz, if you will. These guys are in man again, right? It's not a zone blitz. These guys they're all manned up in the backfield. We've got Lathan Ransom here, who's playing the deep safety role in center field. They're manning up. And really what they're going to do, you'll see, they're going to ask Tyleik Williams and Hero Kanu to drop out as robbers. I don't know why. That's typically something you do when you're expecting a quarterback to run. I don't know why they thought Quinn Ewers was a threat to run in this situation. But again, watch him drop out. There's nobody there. You're expecting Tyleik Williams essentially to run with this guy. That's the closest zone defender you've got. I don't have an explanation for it. I got to imagine that the defensive staff was kicking themselves for it. So again, Ohio State had a really good game plan. I would not say that it was one of their best. And probably not something that Jim Knowles and company are going to put at the top of their CV for the job they did against this Sark offense. A couple calls that just really, leave you scratching your head, like we'll see here. All right, last clip we're going to talk about from this game. Now, as much as I might have been criticizing the coaching staff for a couple decisions here and there because it was such a close game, so well played, so well coached in general, I do want to give the defense credit, because we're not going to show the Sawyer stack. Everybody's seen it so many times, a great effort. But this play, 2 plays before, that set up and forced a passing situation, I thought really was emblematic of the way the defense played for Ohio State all night long, and the difference that a couple guys in particular, there were great performances, obviously. Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau played fantastic football, created a ton of pressure, really put 2 NFL tackles for Texas in a tough spot all night. But to me, the guys that make all the difference and really just made this game what it was were number 2 and number 8, Downs and Ransom. And this play really shows why. Now you can see it's a toss sweep, right? They're bringing everybody around. You're going to get this tackle pulling, right? He's going to come around while we've got, this guy's pinning in, this guy's trying to pin inside, and he's going to pull around that way, right? And instead, what happens? First off, Caleb Downs immediately, his instincts are out of this world. This is film study, so again, credit to the coaches for teaching and showing these guys, here's what to expect. But then you've got this all-universe guy who recognizes it immediately, and his job, he's going to try to beat this running back to the spot, and he almost does, right? He almost gets a hand on him. He does get a hand on him, doesn't make the tackle, but his buddy's there. This is Calvin Banks. This is going to be a first-round NFL tackle. And Lathan Ransom just says, no thank you, I'm going to stay up, and I'm going to go help my buddy close this deal. Because these 2 safeties, if they're not there, sure, we've got 2 corners who might be able to be there. And again, great effort from Matthews and Igbinosin. But these safeties make all of the difference in the world. They do so much to fix what Ohio State tries to do defensively and erase mistakes, whether it's from the coaching staff, in the play call that was made, whether it's by one of their teammates, whether up front or behind them. Number 2 and number 8 really are the keys to this defense and making it what it has become, which is potentially a championship unit. So all credit to those guys. Defense played really well. Again, I'm nitpicking here with the coaching staff and some of the decisions they made in game, but altogether just a great game to watch, really fun to rewatch. So credit to both sides. Also looking forward to seeing what Ohio State's got for Notre Dame coming up next week.